welcome to episode 27 of the Owl About Yarn podcast. Today I'm talking about what I've been knitting and spinning. I'm telling you some exciting news about next year, and I will show you some finished items as well as some of my Christmas presents that I've been lucky enough to get early. So stick around and let's chat. Welcome to episode 27 of the Owl About Yarn podcast. I'm Jenny and I will be talking to you today about knitting and spinning and really whatever other ephemera crop up in my mind over the next half an hour to an hour. How are you? I can't believe it's episode 27 already. I can't believe it's nearly Christmas already. I decided I'd try and get in the festive spirit, as you can see. Erin bought me this lovely hairband with, if I just jingle my head, can you hear the jingly bell? There's a jingly bell up at the top here somewhere. She bought that for me at the weekend, so I'm going to wear that to please her. And I have my festive dress on as well. How are you all? Are you all ready for the holidays? Are you all on holiday, or do you have to work all the way up until the bank holiday weekend? Let me know. I have shut the shop and decided to give myself a fortnight's holiday, which is needed, I think. When I switched the video on to record, the camera in my tablet has all these automatic settings, and because there was a face, it realised that I was trying to do some sort of self-portrait thing. And so it threw up the option of beauty face, and I thought, well, yes, can I just increase the scale of that? Because I'm so tired at the moment that my face, I think, is just all sort of collapsing. But that seems to be quite common at the moment with everybody running around and being a bit non-stop at this time of year. So yes, I've got 2 weeks off. 2 weeks offline. I've shut the shop for 2 weeks. But I do have things like pattern writing to do and some product photography, but that will all be next week. This week is all about relaxing and getting the final things ready for Christmas and enjoying spending time with my children, because it's far easier to enjoy spending time with them if I can relax and not have to work, rather than trying to make sure they're not causing chaos in a different room while I'm tapping away on a keyboard. So that's my plan for this week. And some knitting and some spinning. But that'll all fit in around. So this morning, we went and bought our Christmas food. And then this afternoon, we put Elf on the TV. And we sat all couched up on the sofa and watched that. And that was really nice. And I think we might be putting Love Actually on after Erin's gone to bed tonight and having some hot chocolate and some popcorn and just really chilling out and enjoying it. I found before, have you found this as well, that you do so much over the Christmas period that you come out of it so tired, and it takes you time then in the new year just to gather some energy? And with January and February being such dark and cold months generally, dark mood-wise as well as actually dark outside, it's a bit of a struggle after Christmas sometimes. There's a big come down, and so this year I thought, no, I'm going to be really relaxed and chilled out and not go into the new year feeling drained. I'm going to go in feeling energised and really raring to get back to work. So that's my plan, and I'm sticking to it. Anyway, on this episode I have some happenings to tell you about. I have workings. I have finishings. I finished some stuff, so we're just going to do a little happy dance here. Woohoo! And I have some things that I'm loving and a couple of remnants, but not very much. Just a bit of a wrap up at the end. Oh, that was festive. It's almost like Christmas puns galore around here today. So let's dive straight in. In happenings, well, as I've said, it's fairly quiet around here in the run up to Christmas. Christmas shopping is pretty much done. All of the lists have gone to Father Christmas, and I hear that he is well underway with all the wrapping, so he is very low on stress as well, which is lovely. I think I'm going to reopen the shop when the kids go back to school, which I think is the Wednesday after New Year. I haven't decided exactly for definite yet, but I will be sending out a newsletter before then with the exact date that it will be reopening, just in case you want to pick up some New Year, new yarn for a new project. Who knows? I do have some news, and I thought I'd slip it in just at the start here. I heard that I got accepted for Wonderwool Wales. Yay! So I'm going to be there for my second year, and I'm so excited about that. So I've got all sorts of ideas running around my head for displays and you know, for the way that the store will look, as well as items that I could make to display and things just to catch people's eye. So who is going to be at Wonderwool? Will any of you be at Wonderwool Wales next April? It's going to be the 22nd and the 23rd of April, up in the usual place, up in Mid Wales, and it'd be fabulous if you come and say hello to me. I will be taking my glamorous assistant Zoe of the Pins and Needles podcast, so if any of you would like to come and say hello to her as well, I know that she'd love that. And it's, yeah, the B&B's booked, the plans are underway, it's all moving on, it's all great. And then there's nothing really else to tell you at the moment. Let's get into my workings. So I started a new project that I've been threatening to start for a long time, and I would show you the picture, except that I've put the pattern down somewhere very, very safe, and I don't remember where I've put it, but you'll all know it anyway, so it doesn't matter. I am making a bobble hat. Finally got round to casting it on, and I found some short circular needles in the right size, so I'm just knitting round and round and round. And here is my cast on ribbing, and you can see, if I very carefully stretch it out a bit, I've got some of the white detail at the bottom, and I've just got sheep legs coming together there, and of course I had to use my gorgeous Anne Tudor sheep stitch markers, so that's on there to mark the beginning of the round for me. And I haven't really been in the headspace this last week or so to do much on this, which is why there's only really the ribbing and a teeny tiny bit of colour work. But next row I think I'm starting the actual sheep bodies, and when I've relaxed for a couple of days, hopefully I'll be able to get into that. So I'm using Knit Pro Symphony needles, and they're 3.75mm. Can't see where I'm showing you now. So it's these lovely coloured wooden ones. Now a tip I heard, I don't know if you've heard this tip, because these numbers can rub off quite easily, but a tip that I was told a long time ago was, as soon as you get the needles, is to just put a little bit of clear nail varnish over the numbers, and then they don't rub off. And it works, because I've had these for years and they haven't rubbed off at all. So there you go, a little tip from me to you. Merry Christmas. The yarn I'm knitting it in is mainly John Arbon Knit by Numbers. So I've got this lovely green. I apologise for how dark it is, but I'm having to record at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and so there's no natural light, and the light in here is not great. Next episode we should be back in my office, and I've bought myself a daylight bulb, so, and it's really, really good, so hopefully everything will be crystal clear. But anyway, it's atmospheric for Christmas and cosy evenings, and there's candles and things, so we'll just roll with it this time. But this is a lovely, if I hold it here, lovely grass green, and then I've got, I didn't have any black of the John Arbon, and I didn't want to wait until I could get some, so because it's such a little bit, I just had some black acrylic, which I'm using for that, so shh, but don't tell anybody because I'll get in trouble. And then I got some undyed. Now this isn't Knit by Numbers, but it's the same weight, and I picked it up when I went down to the John Arbon's mill in in May last year, not the trip that I did this year, the one before. And I think it's got some alpaca in it, and I think it might be merino and alpaca and something, possibly nylon, but I picked that up just to try the base out, and it's got a lovely sheen, so my sheep will have, can you just see that there on the top of the ball? My sheep will have a lovely fluffy sheen about them when I've knitted them. And then for the top I've got this other Knit by Numbers shade in this medium blue. So I think that's going to be really, really nice, and I do look forward to being able to get back into that. But like I say, last week was all very all go, and the kids were excited because it was coming to the end of school term, and with Christmas coming there was a lot of running around and screaming from me as well. There seemed to be more out of the house than in the house activity, and it's not the sort of thing I can just sit and work on for 3 minutes and then put it down and go and do something else. I need a block of time to get into it. So yeah, hopefully this week, because I have very few plans. Did I mention that? Very few plans, very relaxed, very chilled out. It's going to be good. The other thing that I'm working on is, apart from my Tallulah cardigan and the sock yarn blankets, which have had no love at all this last 2 weeks, I'm not even bothering to show them to you, is my spinning. And I brought the wheel close so that I'd be able to hopefully show it to you, or at least the fibre anyway. I'm spinning this Wonderwool Wales fibre, which I got, I believe I bought it in the summer when we stopped at their shop on the way up to Yorkshire. All these gorgeous blues and pink, and then if you see the white that goes through it, you can see that's the silk that's been blended into it. So that's my current spin, and at the moment I'm not sure I'm going to be able to show you this easily. Come here, wheel. Oh, there we are. That's how much I've spun so far. So I've got about half a bobbin all done. It'll probably be chain plied because it's very blended as it is, so even if I chain ply it, it's still going to have the colours very much mixed up. Excuse me. I keep the bag with it just to keep the dust off. But yeah, so that's been quite nice, and I'm spinning it quite finely, so it should probably be somewhere around a sport weight by the time it's plied as well. So that will be my relaxing crafting over the next few days or so, depending on how much time I get. But if we're watching some Christmas films, then I'm going to get a bit more time than I usually would, so that'll be good. But that's all that I've actually got on the needles at the moment that I'm really working on. So we can move straight into finishings. I think this is some sort of record. I'm only 12 minutes into the podcast and already we're up to finishings. My days. I've got 2. So the first was started and finished since I last saw you. I've made a hat for my brother-in-law, and he doesn't watch the podcast, so it's absolutely fine, and it really is that dark navy blue. Perhaps I can just show you. It's a little bit loose on me because his head is bigger than mine. He's been on about wanting a beanie hat from me for ages and ages. Can you just see there? A couple of little bands of colour I've put into it. And with my in-laws, with the adults in the family, we don't buy each other individual presents because there were getting to be quite a few of us, and it was getting a bit silly with the amount that we were having to spend, and we were getting a bit stressed about it. So we decided a couple of years back to start a Secret Santa between just ourselves. And I got my brother-in-law's name this year, and I had no idea what to... And it's supposed to be a handmade item as well, the Secret Santa. And I'm the only crafter in the family. I should point that out because that makes us sound a very, very crafty family, but we're really not. So I don't know what the rest of them are doing. I've got no idea. Obviously, it's Secret Santa. But I pulled out I got my brother-in-law's name out of the hat, and as I say, he's wanted me to make him a beanie hat for quite a long time, and I was always yeah, I'll do that, and never got round to it. But he's recently started cycling again for fitness and to get a bit healthier and everything. And I noticed he was wearing a hat the other day, but do you know when you get those ribbed hats and they sort of creep off your head as you're wearing them? And that had happened to him, and I thought, yeah, I'll make you a hat for Christmas. That'll be my Secret Santa present for you. So I've made him this one, and hopefully it'll stay on his head. But I made it the navy blue because I thought, well, that'll be good and dark and boyish. But then I had this multicoloured yarn, and they're both Sirdar Click DK yarns. I had this multicoloured yarn, and I thought, well, if I put a bit of that in, it'll just lift it a bit so that it's not too dreary and dull. So I did that, and I used 4.5mm Knit Pro Nova needles, which I had just used to cast off my next finished item, which is, let me get this the right way round, my treacle shawl. Look, it's huge. I've got to be careful not to hold it over the candle because I've got candles on the mantelpiece. It's massive. I haven't blocked it yet, but it won't need very much blocking. I think I'm just going to... Jolie in the pattern, Jolie Kelly is the designer, and in the pattern she says that she just dampened it and then spread it out and sort of pulled it into place to block it. She didn't pin it, and I think that's all it needs really, because it's a good heavy fabric. So there's the... oh, there's no point in just covering the camera with it, is there? Let's see. Can you see the... oh, it's so dark. Well, you're just going to have to see the detail of it another time, or look on my projects page when I've taken the pictures. But it is so lovely and cosy and big. That is going to be great for my New Year walks. And if it's still cold in Edinburgh in March, I've got a lovely big cosy shawl to wear to the Yarn Festival now. So this is stripes of two different yarns, which are reasonably similar, but they do, well, you can see, because the one was sort of turquoise and purples and the other was just a turquoisey tealy colour. So those two yarns are both from Sarah's Texture Crafts, and the more greeny one is Donegal DK and it's in the colour Teal Story, and then the purpley one is Sparkle DK, which is Merino and Stellina and Silk, I believe, and that's in the Ulfa Cream colourway. And then the border I did in this really deep purple, which this light is not going to let me show you properly, I'm afraid, but that is my own Merino DK in the colourway Aloof. Oh look, if I put my hand behind it you can just see a bit of the detail there. So it's these sort of chevrons all the way around the outside. And that was knitted on afterwards, that was an applied border. Oof, it's a bit warm to be wearing that indoors today. But I'm so pleased with that, and it's so lovely. I'm very fussy about what wool I can put right next to my skin, but I could wear this all day if it wasn't so hot. So this is going to be brilliant in proper winter now in January and February to keep me warm, and on the school runs and things as well. So I'd really recommend that pattern, which, as I say, is Treacle by Jolie Kelly and is available on Ravelry. And that's what I finished. I was so pleased to get that finished. I stayed up until about 2 in the morning one day because I felt like I was really close to finishing that border, and I just wanted to get it done. I was desperate to have it finished. Not because I was sick of knitting it, I just wanted the garment. So I finished it, I bound in the edges, bound in the ends, and then I just collapsed in a heap. So that's probably one of the very small reasons that contributed towards me being so tired, because that was last week sometime that I stayed up. I think it was Wednesday. So it's been a long couple of weeks with all of the end of year activities going on and everything. And then moving on to the next section. The next section is what I'm loving. Well, so much right now. I have just come back from a trip to Somerset to see one of my oldest friends. She is my best friend from school, and she had to have an operation last week. She's absolutely fine now. Well, she's not absolutely fine. She's well on the road to recovery now. And it was really nice to get to spend some time with her properly, because we've not had extended periods of time together for about, I don't even know now, about 7 or 8 years. I can't remember the last time we've had a whole weekend together. That was crazy. So I went down anyway on Friday to Somerset and busted her out the hospital. I was going to say the hotel then, because it was quite a nice hospital. It was quite a new build and it was very posh. Busted her out of the hospital and took her home, and I took about 3 weeks worth of food down with me. I think went a little bit crazy with the cooking and the making of lasagnas to put in her freezer and things like this. But it was really nice to spend time and just chat and catch up, and she wanted to hear all about what the kids have been up to, because we haven't been able to see her that much recently, so she hasn't seen them since Jack overtook me in height, and she wanted to know everything about Erin being really girly and Ben's tennis. She wanted to hear all about that as well. And we talked a lot, and we watched a lot of TV, and talked all the way through it, and ate mince pies, and it was bizarrely, it was really, really nice. I mean, I was looking forward to going because I like spending time with her, but I thought that I was just going to be sort of sat in the living room while she was asleep in bed, and occasionally I'd take her a cup of tea, but actually she was more alert than I expected her to be, and I think the recovery is going better than anybody expected. So we did get to sit and chat, and she said that she wanted me to knit her a hat, and I thought she meant just a plain hat, so I took half a suitcase of yarn down for her to choose from. And but it turns out she had different ideas, so I showed her Ravelry and did a bit of a pattern search, and she came up with the hat pattern, and we chose the colours, and we've been chatting online today, and I've ordered all the yarn, so hopefully before the next podcast all that yarn will have arrived and I'll have cast on for a hat for her. And I've got other plans for the rest of the yarn, but I'm not going to say. And Joe, if you're watching, I don't think you do, but if you're watching, forget I just said that last bit. So, looking forward to that. But yeah, we had a lovely weekend. The driving was good. I borrowed my dad's car for the first time in my life. I've never ever driven my dad's car. I've only just been put on the insurance for the first time. But because Ben had tennis every day over the weekend, there was a tournament. They had some players coming down from England to play them. I asked Dad if it'd be possible to borrow his car so that my husband would still have transport to be able to get backwards and forwards across the city. And Dad wasn't using his car, so that was fine by him. So off I toddled in this teeny tiny little white car, and I usually drive a really great big red wagon, so it's a bit of a change going down the motorway. But it worked out really well, and it was all reasonably stress-free. Of course I got stressed about stuff because that's what I do, and I was worrying that my friend might die in the night and it would be my fault because I was supposed to be in charge of her and everything, but she's still alive, it's all good. She's got plenty of food in the freezer, she's not going to starve, it's fine. But she gave me Christmas presents, and the one I'm not going to show you because it's all pictures of her dog, and it's sort of more personal. It's sort of as much a Christmas card as a calendar, so I'm not going to show you that one, but it's beautiful and really good photography. But the other thing she got me, which I thought I'd show you, is this. Look. Chocolate, scissors, and a bobbin, and a thimble. How cool is that? How am I going to be able to eat that? I've already decided I'm going to wait right up until it's supposed to go out of date, if I can find that. It's made of fine Italian chocolate. My mouth's watering already. I've no idea how long I've got to eat those. I'll have to look it up. But yeah, how clever are they? I've seen where they've made screwdrivers and things out of chocolate because they have those on stalls in the middle of Cardiff at Christmas time. But I've never seen scissors. And I mean, look at the detail. At first glance, you wouldn't think that was chocolate, would you? And at second glance as well, if you didn't bother to read where it says Chocolate Workshop. But yeah, so I was treated. I was spoilt rotten. So that was the first good present I had. Well, no, it wasn't the first. That's one of the good presents I had. Last Thursday we had our knit night Christmas party, and we do Secret Santa in that as well. And I got a lovely present from Sarah, who was hosting it this year. I hosted it the last 2 years, but then she offered, and I thought, well, it was fine, you know. I'm happy to go wherever. It was just easier than going to a pub when we had it here. So we went to Sarah's house, and it was all lovely and comfortable, and lots of good food. And she gave me this mug, very apt, of course, which I've got to put somewhere safe so I don't knock it down and break it. And she gave me a book, Knitting in the North by Hilary Grant, and the photography in this. So Zoe and Ellie came round yesterday, and Zoe asked me if I'd looked at the patterns and if there were any that I wanted to knit. And I hadn't even really paid attention to the fact that they were proper patterns. Obviously I knew that they were patterns. I was too busy looking at the photography, because it's just beautiful. I mean, look at the styling. That's the sort of styling that we're talking about in the photographs. So it's very restful to look at. And there's a lot of turquoise, and I like turquoise and cream and teal. So that's a lovely book. That's going to be going into my knitting library upstairs, now that I've showed it to you. So if you're watching, thank you very much, Sarah, for those. That was really nice of you. That was a lovely Secret Santa to get. I then, as I say, sorry for bobbing up and down. All my stuff is down there a bit. I haven't got a table anywhere near me in here. I had Ellie and Zoe over yesterday for lunch. Ellie was unwell last week, and so she couldn't come to our knit night Christmas do, and so I said, oh, let's just have lunch, the three of us, on next week sometime then. And yesterday was the only day that anybody could manage, so we all put piles of ridiculously unhealthy food on the table. It's the time of year, isn't it? And sat and chatted and giggled and exchanged presents, which was lovely. So first off, because Zoe's are, well, almost in shot, I got from Zoe, look, can you see this gorgeous little owl tree ornament? It's silver and it's sparkly. What more could a girl want? Can you see? And then I also got a gorgeous candle, and I wish that we had smell-o-vision because it smells beautiful. And that's the candle. Can you see the label there? Vanilla silk chiffon, and there really is beautiful vanilla scent coming from that. So I'm enjoying that immensely at the moment. And then Ellie gave me owl stickers. So that'd be brilliant for decorating my diary and my planning notebooks next year and cheering those up, because I'm not a doodler, I can't draw, so stickers are the way forward for me. She also gave me a braid of Sarah's Texture Crafts BFL Sparkle Fibre, and look at the colours in that. I mean, there's my favourite colours. You can't really see very well, but that's a deep purpley colour, and then that's my favourite tealy green colour, and then balanced with the lilac-y greys and that little bit of peach. That's going to be a really nice spin, so I think that'll be next on the wheel after I've finished the Wonderwool Works fibre that I'm doing at the moment. And then, I was thrilled to bits by this, she knit me a sock head hat from Hedgehog Fibers yarn. So I put it on, because that's the best way to show you a hat, isn't it? I love it when people knit me things, because knitters don't often knit for other knitters, do you know? Have you found that, or is it just me? But I've found in my experience that knitters don't knit for other knitters because they think they can knit for themselves, so why bother? So I'm always, because I know the effort that's gone into it and the time and everything, I'm always so impressed and so grateful when somebody takes the time to knit for me. And look, isn't it gorgeous? And it's just my colours, the purple and the little bit of pink. And it's a skein of yarn. Now, you know, I've mentioned before about my terrible memory. It's a skein of yarn that I was eyeing up on the London yarn crawl, and in the end I didn't buy, but I dithered about it, and then I wandered off and Ellie bought it so that she could make me something for Christmas from it. And then apparently I went, I was like, oh, shall I go and get that yarn? And they were all no, don't do it, no, because Ellie had already got it. So thank you ever so much, Ellie. This is just lovely, and it's going to be great because it's surprisingly warm. It's quite a dense fabric, even though it's a sock yarn. So it's going to be brilliant for going over to the school, and there's enough purple in my new shawl that it'll coordinate. So that's my new set for the spring. It's going to be, I'm going to be the most stylish mum over at the school, which would make a nice change from the scruffiest mum who turns up in jogging bottoms and a t-shirt most days, but shh, we won't talk about that. And so that's all my presents that I've had so far. Obviously we're not even at Christmas yet, and I've had all these lovely presents, so I'm very, very lucky. But I have got a couple of purchases that I wanted to show you. I was thinking about my younger son Ben, and he's not really a knitwear wearer at the moment. He's very sporty, as I've said. He loves his tennis, and so he wears a lot of t-shirts and jogging bottoms. He's usually wearing a football shirt if he's not playing tennis, and hoodies, like fleecy sweatshirts and things like that. And so I thought maybe I shouldn't be thinking what I could knit for him, I should be thinking about what I could sew for him. And so I went and bought a couple of patterns. I've left one upstairs, but this is the other one for hoodies. And also, my husband isn't really that much taller than me, and he's only in a sort of small man size clothes. And my older son is about the same size of clothes now, so this pattern will cover all three of them if I want to make them some hoodies, and they all wear that sort of thing, so that could work really well. I just need to find a really good source now for sweatshirt fabric, and I'll be away. So hopefully in the new year I'll be doing a bit more sewing and getting into some of this, making some stuff for my boys. Finally, my final acquisition is something two things that I've bought as gifts for some of my friends, but again, I don't think they watch the podcast. So Yvonne and Angela, if you're watching this before Christmas Eve, stop, turn it off and go away. I was trying to think of something to get them that was a bit different, and I went onto Etsy and I found these beautiful handmade brooches, and they're made out of felt, and they're little flowers. So I've got this one, Crafty Joe Designs brooch, and they're fuchsias. I got that one for Angela, so pretty. So it'll be a nice size to just put on her coat lapel because she likes to wear a brooch. And then for her mum, and this is my best friend's mum, I got this one, which I believe is forgetmenots. And they were made to order for me, and they're just so nicely done with that little bit of beading in the centre of each flower as well. And again, that'll be a nice size to wear on the lapel of a winter coat, and they like to do that. So I was really pleased by that. So if you're interested in these sorts of things, I've got a business card I can show you. If you want to have a look at Crafty Joe Designs on Etsy, then you'll be able to see some of the other designs that she has and maybe find a gift for yourself or one of your friends or family. But she had some lovely things. It was quite difficult to choose. And that, for now, is the end of my acquisitions and my loving section. Which brings me into remnants, the end of my show, and we're coming to the end of a year. I really wanted to take the opportunity while I'm talking to you all to say thank you so much for supporting me all year, both on the podcast, on social media when you follow me on Instagram and Twitter, if you click on the hearts on Instagram, if you leave me a comment there or reply on Twitter, if you leave a comment or click the thumbs up at the end on the YouTube videos. I really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to watch my podcasts. They are going to be more regular going into 2017. I can't believe it's nearly 2017 already. They are going to be more regular going into next year because I do seem to be into this fortnightly groove. I would have recorded yesterday, but I was just so exhausted after my weekend down in Somerset and a regular sleep and the driving there and back, and driving back through thick fog as well. I just needed a day to sort of come round and gather my thoughts yesterday, so that's why you're seeing me a day later than planned today. But I will be sticking to this fortnightly schedule now for the time being. Next year, obviously this year in the news and current affairs and around the world hasn't been brilliant. So I think we need to stay hopeful for next year and hope that things improve, hope that certain scenarios aren't as bad as we expect them to be, and just try and stay optimistic. I think it'd be very easy to slide into negative and pessimistic frames of mind with all the things that are going on around the world at the moment. But when I look at how kind a lot of people can be to other people, random strangers, I think they're the sort of things that you have to hold on to and think about when times get a little bit tough and a bit sad, and try and find those happy bits. Otherwise we'll all be miserable as sin. But here's hoping that 2017 is wonderful. Personally, I'm excited that I'm going to be visiting Edinburgh for the first time. I'm very excited that I'm going to have a stall at Wonderwool Wales for the second time, and I've got a couple of other applications in for shows through the year, so if you could keep your fingers crossed for me that I'll get accepted to some of those, then hopefully I'll be travelling around the country a bit next year again and I'll get to see more of you in person. In the meantime, can I just say I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas and a very, very happy new year, and I will see you in January 2017. Bye bye, take care. Thank you so much for watching my podcast. You can find me pretty much anywhere online as owlaboutyarn.com. I'd love it if you would give me a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any future episodes of the podcast. See you soon!